So what do you think? What do you think of these? Do you like them? All right. Gradient lens. All right. What do you think? Not bad, right? They cost me like $10 on Amazon. $7. What do you think? Not bad. So why am I showing you all this? All right. Basically, I have been on a sunglass buying frenzy on Amazon. I literally have been buying and buying and buying sunglasses. And the whole idea and reason behind it is that I am just curious as to what is actually out there for the low price provider, right? You go on Amazon, you search like, men's retro sunglasses. You're going to get a ton of different options. And a lot of these options are super crazy affordable. I'm talking about like under $20. Like all these sunglasses that I have, under $20. Another pair. I really actually like these. Now, is the quality amazing? No, it's not. When you feel it, does it feel like an old pair of Enemy shades? No, it totally doesn't. Does it have spring hinges? No. Does it have real acetate? No. It's plastic. Does it have like everything that Enemy had? No, but it's not that bad. And so really what I've been doing lately is kind of going down this rabbit hole. Like if I had to do, like look at these, like this pair, $20. It comes with a case, it comes with the glasses, right? These actually are pretty badass. And so I've gone down this like sunglass rabbit hole. Somebody the other day emailed me or texted me or posted in a video, said, why aren't you bringing back Enemy? Number one, I sold the URL enemy.com. But it got me thinking more about sunglasses. And like, if I had to do it over, what would I do differently? And is there a market for these super cheap sunglasses? And the answer is absolutely, there is. The fact that you can grab these sunglasses, these have like a nice, like soft, matte feel, all right? These are absolutely as good as Ray-Bans that I've had. In terms of the feel, like if you told me or put a little Ray-Ban thing in the corner or on the lens, I wouldn't know the difference, honestly. And so if I had to do it over, what would I do differently? Would I be interested in starting another sunglass company? Because the truth is, I have all of the connections. I've got the manufacturer. I've got designs. I could go super cheap and make them out of plastic instead of acetate. I could make the lenses just standard lenses instead of Zeiss. I could do a lot of things to get my cost down. These glasses, if they're selling them on Amazon for $15, they're costing them probably $4. Literally $4, you're getting this. Maybe this one is a little bit more expensive because it does come with a case. But I really started thinking about the option, or I should say the idea of what would it look like if I actually came out with more sunglasses. One of the big mistakes that I made when I started Enemy was I went too cheap with the quality that I was actually providing. I wanted to create a premium product and charge a little bit of money, which was a huge mistake. The biggest learning and lesson that I learned when I actually created Enemy was charge more. You need the margin. Here's another pair, right? Little aviator action that I got. I'm telling you, I literally bought 25 pairs of sunglasses over the course of the past month just because I was interested in seeing the quality, the style, and honestly, all of these sunglasses in terms of styling, in terms of look, in terms of feel, are pretty freaking good for a sub $20 sunglass. Now, is this going to last forever? No, it's going to break as soon as I sit on it. But for 20 bucks, there is a huge market for this cheap, nice looking sunglass brand. The problem is that I would never put my name on something that was this cheap. And so if I had to do it over, what would I do? I would go more premium. I would focus more on the brand. I would focus on actually probably charging like $300 for a more premium sunglass as opposed to trying to sell it for like a sub $100. Because when I basically boil it down to how much it cost me to make a pair of Enemy sunglasses, it was literally like landed like $35. All right, these, all right, for reference, are probably around $5, $4. It could be even cheaper than that if they're buying them in bulk. And so it's really hard to scale a business, like we talked about before, if you don't have the margin. And the thing that I did was I tried to sell these for $100. And then on top of that, I tried to incentivize people by giving people a discount. One of the worst things that you can do if you are trying to start a business, regardless of what it is be the low-cost provider or try to incentivize people by just offering them a discount because they get conditioned. You train your customers to basically never pay retail. And so for me, instead of focusing on trying to make it like a super great value for the price, because the truth is people don't know what Zeiss lenses are, most people. Most people don't know what Mazzucchelli acetate is, and they honestly don't give a fuck. They want to know, do they look good, and is it affordable for me? And so for me, what I would have done differently is I would have positioned these as a more premium product, and I would not have sold them for $100, $150. I should have gone $300, knowing that I'm going to sell a lot less, but I'm going to have a lot more margin, and I would have really invested more money and energy in making it a more premium experience. The cases, the packaging, all right, the glasses. I wouldn't have also tried to do what I did, which was come up with a bunch of different styles. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is trying to be something for everybody. I came out with a bunch of different sizes in the specific sunglass, design. And so if these were like the Enemy ones, I had the Enemy ones, and then I had the Enemy ones like XL. And then instead of just having like 2 colors, I had 4 colors, 5 colors. And then I had different sizes in all those colors. And it really boils down to the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your customers are buying 20% of your inventory. And so for me, I went super like wide and deep. And that is one of the other big mistakes. You've got to focus on the winners. You've got to focus on the heroes. So anyway, I have just been going down the rabbit hole kind of thinking about Enemy, about what I did right, what I did wrong. And honestly, if I had to do it over, what I would do differently. I am honestly just amazed at how many super cool designs there are on Amazon for literally under $20. And when you look at somebody and they've got a $20 pair of sunglasses on, you can't tell the difference from a $20 pair of sunglasses to a $300 pair of sunglasses, honestly. You really can't. I went a little bit nuts, right? But all these sunglasses literally like combined cost me like $120, all right? Another pair, ooh, I like these too. These are sick, literally $10. Anyway, guys, I just went down the rabbit hole thinking about Enemy and about the fact that there are a lot of ways to skin a cat. But one way you should not try to skin that cat is being the cheap, low-cost provider. It's a recipe for disaster. I would always recommend trying to go more premium and not try to basically just compete on price, because that is a losing battle. But what's not a losing battle is answering your business questions. All right, so now what I want to do is get to your business questions from last week. Guys, down below, let me know. If you've got a business question or a question in general about my opinion or philosophy about anything, down below, start it with question, business question, whatever, and I will get to it next week. Anyway, I've just been buying a lot of watches, and cheap sunglasses lately, apparently. Anyway, I get a little bit, whatever. Here's the business question. From our friend Music Legend IX. He says, Alpha, do you go to trade shows for your business, i.e. Pete and Pedro? I just went to a trade show and noticed it's all about knowing the right people. As an introvert, it was hell for me and mentally draining after a 2-day event. So I don't do trade shows. I personally just don't do them. I don't find the value. There's no real need for me right now. I could be wrong and I could be missing out, and I know that a lot of people, I really think that it depends on what you need and what you're looking for and what your business is and what that trade show is for. I know that a lot of people, there's actually a big, huge trade show this coming week in Anaheim, California. Tish Hanley is going out to it, and like a lot of businesses are going to be there, but your boy will not be there. I just, I don't know what the purpose is. Is it selling? Are you trying to basically sell something to possible like distributors or whatever. Like, I think that if it makes sense for your business and your model, then you probably should look into it, because I know that there are a lot of great trade shows. But I get it from a perspective of it's draining. As an introvert, it's difficult. But if it's something you need to do for your business, then I would say definitely do it. Me personally, I don't. But doesn't mean that I'm right. And it doesn't mean that I shouldn't be going to trade shows. I just don't know what the trade show benefit would be for me right now. The next business question comes from Dan B1776. He says, has being an entrepreneur and analyzing the way people purchase your products changed you as a consumer, knowing your habits are constantly being tracked? Love your content. So this is a great question. So has it changed? A little, but it's funny because this is not what I normally do. Okay, so I have been really going down this rabbit hole of just learning and looking at different things, and this is something that I wouldn't have normally done. I personally, I don't shop as much as I used to, and this is something that I've just realized. Like, ever since like COVID, I don't really shop. And if you would have told me like 10 years ago that I wouldn't be going to a mall to go buy things, because I used to love going to a mall. I used to love going shopping. I used to love going to stores. I used to love, working as an image consultant and doing the Alpha M project. And I used to love that, going shopping, being there. But as I've kind of gotten back into going shopping, I've realized that a lot of the stores that I used to love to go to, they suck. They don't offer the quality products that they used to. A lot of them are trying to make sure that their margins are better, and so they're offering shittier products. And I am a firm believer that a lot of times you get what you pay for. And in this situation with sunglasses, I also think you get what you pay for. A $20 pair of sunglasses is a cheap pair of sunglasses, but honestly, they're not that bad. And I wouldn't have probably said that years ago, because I was always like, oh, never buy cheap and it's a throwaway thing. I don't know if this is answering your question, though. Does it change the way you've been consumer, knowing habits, constantly being tracked? In terms of the trackability, this is also another weird one, right? You search for anything or you stop scrolling on anything, and the algorithms are just pumping you, right? I like this jacket. It's called Cricket. It's from a company in Austin, Texas. You got to know that if you're searching for something, or you stop on an ad, or you click on it, for the next 30 days, you're just going to get bombarded by ads. And so, has it changed I don't know that it has. I don't think it has. Maybe it has. I don't know. What about you? Has the trackability and everything changed the way you shop for things? It makes me buy more stuff, honestly, but I'd rather buy it online than go shopping, because, seriously, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be somebody that would just shop online and just be like, yeah, I like it or I don't like it, and send it back. If I didn't, I would have been like, no way, right? Shopping's awesome. No, I would rather sit on my couch and pet my cat and shop. And that, I think, is something that a lot of people do. A lot of people just don't want to go to stores anymore. And a lot of the stores, they suck in terms of selection. And the other reality is that a lot of times you can find better sizes or better selection shopping online than actually shopping in store. But interesting question. Let me think about that a little bit more. Next question comes from our friend Joe Morris. He says, yo, Alpha, thanks for replying to my comment in the last video. Have you considered adding an AI text bot on your Pete and Pedro side? Yes, we've considered it. We're sort of still trying to figure out what application or use for Pete and Pedro AI is going to serve, or what we're going to be using it for. I think, and we've played around with AI images and AI video. I think, and I just had a conversation with Mike Levy, my marketing director, today, as a matter of fact, about it. I really feel like people aren't interested in AI before and after pictures, AI people with products. I just don't think it's there yet. And I think that as we move more towards this artificial world, I think people are actually going to retreat and regress, and really they are looking for that authentic reality with the company and the products that they're actually buying. Now, I think Having an AI generated AI like rendering, I think that's totally fine. A product picture, like we've used renderings for Pete and Pedro of our products, for years, for, the past 10 years. I think they're fine. Having a product just sitting there like on a table or, in a beach or whatever, I think it's fine. But whenever you add that person to it and you try to pass it off as real or authentic, I think that's where you get into trouble. But I think, a lot of the text bots and stuff like that, I think it is interesting. But we still have a customer service rep who handles and answers every single email that you guys send. His name is Mike, and he is awesome. He is also my stepfather. The next business question comes from Simeon TV Green. I'm starting to do digital marketing services on the side from my 9 to 5. From my 9 to 5 where I do the same. But at least now I want to be split. I want to be splitting the profit. Hold on. I do Google ads and Meta ads. My question is about gaining new customers. Surely a business and brand like yours doesn't rely on paid acquisitions all the time. What do you find best drives organic traffic and potential inquiries? So it depends. So the question is what we have been finding a lot of success in terms of Pete and Pedro and T. Shanley is the third-party sites, the Amazons, the Ultas, the Target.com kind of sucks, Walmart.com, Fair. Like there are platforms out there, these third-party sites that are basically their own marketplace that have shoppers there, like Amazon. You are amazing. It's amazing. Like Amazon has built a platform where people are shopping, right? And so if you're not there, you're going to miss out on 100% of, the potential customers. And there are people that just shop for whatever they're buying on Amazon or on, Ulta or whatever. And they will never come to your .com. Google Shopping, another thing that is awesome, but that's something else that that we have figured out is very valuable, and we've been making some good progress there. TikTok, another one. TikTok, I would say if you are somebody that is looking for growing a new brand and you don't have a big brand presence, you don't have, a lot of track record, and you're thinking about, okay, what platform do I invest in? Do I research? Do I spend time, investigating? I would say you've really got to make sure that you are looking at TikTok. And this is something that I would not have said a year ago. A year ago, I wasn't selling on TikTok. TikTok is becoming like Amazon Junior, and I really feel like now that the US owns it, and they are doing some incredible things. They're even doing like Fulfill by TikTok, kind of like Amazon. It's a discovery platform though. One of the things that we found is that for every one product we sell on TikTok, we sell an equal number of that specific product on Amazon. And so, I think that for organic growth, TikTok is amazing, but it also feeds these other like beasts. I really feel like you probably should have a Shopify website, but in order to sell anything on Shopify, you need a lot of organic growth, right? I would also say that creating content on a platform like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok is also incredibly valuable and important, especially now in the world of brands and building a brand. It's incredibly valuable to basically put in the time, the effort, talk about your product, have people talking about your product. And I'm not saying like necessarily like pay for influencers, because they get really expensive and they're not as valuable as they think they are. And they also don't convert as well as they used to. And so putting your own spin on it and talking about your brand, your product is the best thing that you can do. And then you can repurpose that content on these other platforms. But there's nobody that's going to be better at selling your business or brand than you. And then it's about testing the paid advertising, remarketing. Facebook ads have been kind of sucking lately. We have not been investing as much in Facebook as we used to. But yeah, good question. Real good question. Let me see. One more question. Okay, there's one more question. Actually, there's two questions. The next question comes from our friend Fox Miller. He said, would you consider opening a Pete and Pedro store to expand your business, or just keep selling online instead of what should a business owner do if they want to do both? I would not do a brick and mortar Pete and Pedro store. I'd played around and toyed around with the idea of opening up like a little barbershop, and that's kind of on the back burner. But no, I don't feel like retail is where we should be investing. You've got to understand that you've got limited capital, you've got limited bandwidth, you've got limited resources. How are you going to spend it? How many people are going to walk? And I just had a conversation with a friend of mine who owns a nutrition store, very successful nutrition store. And she's been in the game for, I think, like 25 years. I actually consulted on her opening her nutrition store. And I saw her actually this morning at the gym, and I was talking to her. I said, hey, what does your business do top line? It's very successful. And she goes, oh, we're really, doing pretty well. I go, well, how much? And she said, $500,000 a year. I'm like, $500,000. All the headaches, all the hassle, all the, for $500,000, I'm trying to do 10 million on Pete and Pedro, and I don't have to deal with all that stuff. I don't have to deal with, it's just not as scalable as online, because if you can crack and figure out how to leverage and scale online, it's like off to the races. It's hard, there are its challenges, but a brick and mortar, you're relying on, people walking into your business. It's just a lot harder. It's a lot, I think, easier. Nothing's easy, but it's easier to scale online than it is brick and mortar for my business anyway. Salon Posta, you can't scale it, online. You would have to open up a second location or a third location or expand it that way. But great question. The last question comes from our friend Will Kissick. He says, if you could go back and tell your 25-year-old self 3 things, what would they be? I'm 24, thanks in advance. What would they be? 25. Number 1, you can figure this out. At 25 years old, I was like filing bankruptcy, and I thought that the only thing that would mean success to me would be a fitness center. All right, I would tell myself, sorry, buddy, this one's going to sting, but it's okay. Keep your eyes open and realize that success doesn't always look like what you hope or what you expect it will. Number 2, you can either feed your ego or your family, but a lot of times you can't do both. When it comes to business, you've got to figure out what you want to be. Do you want to make money, or do you want to basically make yourself feel good? Sometimes you can't do both. One of the big mistakes that people make in business is they feel like they need to express themselves and share their personal opinion about religion or politics or social injustices. All right? Dixie Chicks are a perfect example of this. A lot of stores, Anheuser-Busch, another example of this. Target, another example of this. Starbucks, another example of this. Shut your mouth and sell shit. If you want to have a cause, have a cause. But when it comes to business, Michael Jordan said it best. Democrats and Republicans both buy sneakers. Think about that. And number 3 is, what is the third thing I would tell myself? Just work hard. And get to work. I know, I had to think about that for a second. Get to work. It's why I engraved it on the back of my watch. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it. It says get to work. I did that on purpose because I know that I'm smart enough and I can figure it out, and so are you. But you got to get to work. Stop chasing perfection. Start chasing progress. Get off your ass. You can do it. Make shit happen. Don't confuse planning and preparation for procrastination. Or I should say, planning and preparation a lot of times get confused or it gets camouflaged as procrastination. Okay, let me back that up. Procrastination a lot of times gets camouflaged as planning. All right, you're never going to plan. It's never going to be perfect. You need to jump. And you need to, a lot of times, figure it out as you're flying the plane. All right, or they say build the plane as you're flying it. You've got to understand that it's never going to be perfect out of the gate. You've got to just jump. The reason why most people never will realize their potential is because they were too scared to take that chance and to take the first step. It's going to suck. You're going to fail. You're going to fuck up. You're going to figure it out. You're going to pick yourself back up and make it happen. You can do it. I believe in you. So what are you waiting for? Today's the day.